Welcome to another episode of The Good Listening To Show, your life and times with me, Chris Grimes. The storytelling show that features The Clearing, where all good questions come to get asked and all good stories come to be told. And where all my guests have two things in common. They're all creative individuals and all with an interesting story to tell. There are some lovely storytelling metaphors. A clearing, a tree, a juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, some alchemy, some gold, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, and a cake. So it's all to play for. So yes, welcome to The Good Listening To Show, your life and times with me, Chris Grimes. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin. Welcome to an extremely exciting episode where we've got my first ever Olympic gold medalist legend here in The Clearing, Roger Black, MBE. Welcome to The Good Listening To Show, Stories of Distinction and Genius. You are both distinct and a genius.
And don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, Chris, because it's very kind of you to call me an Olympic gold medalist. But I mean, the older I become, the more people think that. But I actually didn't win a gold medal at the Olympics. I won 2 gold medals at the World Championships. I won a silver at the Olympics. I have to correct you, because there'll be some people that go, "Oh, that was wrong. But thank you, because I'm very happy to take it.
And by the way, in researching you, which I've really enjoyed, I think it's only for the fact that Michael Johnson happened to overtake you.
Oh yes.
And in today's currency, I mean, poor you, he was the Usain Bolt of his day. It would have been gold in anybody else's.
And the truth is, if I'm honest, and I've made a living out of this story, is that yes, it was a silver medal, but it actually felt to me like a gold medal. So yes, I was an Olympic gold medalist in my spirit. So,
and by the way, I was so excited to talk to you. Just this week, I've started whipping out a gold baton to pass on the thread of gold in the construct of this. And when Roger Black, you said you'd do it, a little bit of, if I may, a bit of we came out, because I thought, fantastic. Who else but Roger Black to pass on the golden baton to, the golden relay baton?
Yeah.
Because this is you now getting gold, so you deserve it.
Yeah.
I know you've also won gold in the 4x100 relay often. You did that at the World and the European Championships.
Twice at the Worlds, yeah. Twice at the World and the European. That was the most famous race of all, actually.
And just while I'm riffing, you're actually running a relay today, because I know you're in a bit of a media relay today of doing back-to-back.
You're the final leg. There's one more after you, but you're the important leg now.
I'm the sprint finish. You see, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Wonderful. So sincerely, thank you for saying yes. It's going to be my great pleasure and joy to curate you through the unique construct of The Good Listening To Show. There's going to be a clearing, a tree, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, a couple of random squirrels and a cake, and not forgetting my gold baton, which will be yours at the end of this conversation. There's also a comedy bell for if we go into a bit of a rabbit hole where we can go, cashier number 2, please. And we sort of, whistle on through. It's going to be entertaining. Mm-hmm. Also, you're here with a sort of Bupa hat on as well, because I know that part of your media thrust today is how we make 2023 the year of me. What would you like to say about that?
Well, all that is that, the new year, people make resolutions to exercise. Of course they do, and get fitter. And many people have done this year. And it's just acknowledging that it's more than just thinking I'd like to do it. It's understanding that, maybe the first step is to get checked out medically. And that's where Bupa come in with their health clinics. Would advise that. The reason that I've been asked to do that is that I was born with a heart disease. So I have a leaking heart valve. It was discovered when I was 11. So I've actually been checked up on my heart every year of my life since I was 11. So that's 45, 46 years. So, no surprises have been coming to me. And it's one of the reasons I didn't do athletics much as a kid. I wasn't allowed to do much as a kid for the first sort of between 11 and 12. But and just I have my own fitness brand, Roger Black Fitness, which help people work out at home with treadmills and bikes. And most of our clients are of an age, because the challenge is of not everyone wants to go to the gym, not everyone wants to run outside. And I'm just a real champion for, it's all about moving now. When I was an athlete, it was about high performance. It was extreme. But now for me, I'm nearly 57. It's about looking after myself so I can look after my family. And it's about moving and being active and being more careful with what I eat. I'm not obsessive about that, by the way. When I was an athlete, I could eat what I wanted because I was training all the time. So I'm a bit of a champion for different phases in life, and as we get to a certain stage in life, which I'm at, things change. Even if just because you're an Olympic medal, things change physically.
Yes.
So more in moderation now, and just encouraging as many people to set their goals, connect with their goals, make it easy on themselves, don't beat themselves up, but just let's keep moving, because our bodies were meant to move if we could. So.
And we've just overcome Blue Monday in the calendar, which is where I think it's Monday the 16th of January when most people are bluest. It's where all the divorces begin to happen, but also it's because we give up our New Year's resolutions, Derry.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, from my experience, is the starting point actually is to really connect with your why. It was easy as an athlete. I knew what my why was. My why was I'm going to train because I want to win Olympic medals. It wasn't a difficult one, so they didn't need much motivation. Now, different people get motivated in different ways. And I think we need to take the time to really say, well, why do I want to exercise? Is it weight loss? Is it mental health? That's a huge part of it nowadays. Is it because I've got an underlying health condition that I know I need to exercise? Whatever it may be, once you connect with that, then when the wobbles come in and the setbacks come in, you'll push through, because your why will never change. I mean, you know what you're trying to achieve. And it's, as corny as this sounds, I think it should be a marathon, not a sprint. And I also think the secret, if you can make it a habit, if you can make exercise as part of your daily life or your weekly life, it's just something you do. It's no big deal anymore. It's just what I do. Then you've cracked it.
And by the way, I watched a wonderful film of you just about half an hour ago where you really played it forward by trying to give advice to how to have a successful sporting retirement. And I remember you saying what you missed the most was the really clear discipline of the deadline of the Olympic Championship race. It's the biggest thing that any sports person, it's like someone who retires from the forces, actually. You have a routine, a structure, the day, the time, the place of the Olympic final. You know what you're aiming for every year. You don't wake up in the morning going, oh, what am I aiming for? When you retire, that goes. My goals now are not as clear. They can never be as clear as they were as an athlete. And that's okay, obviously. But trying to get clearer goals is a real challenge. And sports people are wired to be focus driven and to move forward and not dwell on the past. Yeah. So that's why you get a lot of sports people who retire and they just don't know what to do. They drift. They don't. What am I? I don't know. What are my skills? I can't run anymore. What are my skills? So you have to retrain, relearn, get inquisitive, be curious. Yeah. And find something. Not to be as good as. I'm never going to do anything that's like standing on the Olympic rostrum. That would be foolish and slightly selfish. But just to replace that hole is something that can be a real challenge for a lot of people. And I remember you also saying within the wonderful body of that film that obviously not everybody can do going into television, becoming a sports pundit. There can't be a Roger Black. There can't be a Gary Lineker. Not everyone.
Well, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't do that anymore. I did that for only a few years. I had that opportunity, but it wasn't my calling. So you try a few things, but the thing is to try and find what is my thing, what is the thing that I really, where I feel that I am in the place I should be. Mm-hmm. And for me that's corporate speaking, standing on a stage and encouraging people to exercise.
Wonderful. So you're extremely welcome. And so let's get you going on the open road of this structure.
Yeah, let's go.
And there will be a deliberate invitation to find out all about the Roger Black world at the end, when I'll deliberately ask us to take a deep dive into your URLs. Okay. And let's take you through my own relay of the construct of this program. So first of all, we're going to be in the clearing. So what is a clearing like for Roger Black? Where do you go to get clutter-free, inspirational, and able to think?
There's only one place I can go to be completely at one and in pure connection. And unfortunately, it's not a place I can go to regularly, but when I tell you what it is, and it's actually when I'm swimming. And I don't swim enough, but when I'm actually swimming, I can hear my breathing, I can hear my heartbeat. I'm completely in a metronome. I'm not a great swimmer, but it's the feel of the water. And that's where I feel most connected with my spirit and my soul, I would say. So when I'm swimming. The other one is my wife and I we live in Guildford, there's a place called the Chantry. There's a church called St Martha's Church, top of the hill. And the views from up there, we go up there regularly, then, there's that. So one of those two, take your pick. I don't know if you can do this in water.
I can do it in water. Interestingly, you're not the first person. And what I want to ask you is, are we talking staying in your lane like an Olympic swimming pool type pool, or well, deep fresh water?
No, I don't. I'm not comfortable in fresh water because I saw Jaws when I was a kid and I've never got over it. We're talking in a swimming pool. Yeah, in a swimming pool. Yeah, a quiet swimming pool.
By the way, we're a very similar age. As we know, Jaws, you sit in
never
the
got over it.
Even in the bath, somebody needs to go, and you'll go.
It's totally illogical. I've never got over it, and I'm like many people. It's extraordinary. Yeah.
So, are we going for a metaphorical Olympics pool in that case,
or a metaphorical, just nice pool in the garden, on a hot day, or in a nice pool somewhere? Yeah.
Oh, hello. Have we got a pool in our garden, Roger Black?
Not. Yes and no.
Yes and no, meaning you've got some flooding in the lower field. Or...
Yeah, no. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, by the way, I've just done a segue for myself, talking about flooding in the lower field and the Fast show. Do you watch Gone Fishing with Paul Whitehouse?
My mother-in-law passed away a few months ago. It was her favourite thing on TV. Because
what's so lovely is, as you know, they both talk about their health and having had a heart condition.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, so there's a really nice natural segue. And I'm sorry that your mum passed.
No, she was 92. She was fine. She was ready to go. A very, very, very peaceful and wonderful passing. So there you go. As good as it could be. So we're very lucky. Yeah.
She had a good life, as they say.
She had a great life. Yeah.
Lovely. And I just forgot to remember, it's Bob Mortimer was the other one. The other
Bob
protagonist within Gone Fishing. Yeah. So we're in your pool then. Yeah. And so what I'd like to do now is arrive rather comically with a tree in your pool. And I'm going to shake the tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. So this is where you've been kind enough, if you look at the stem of the tree there, this is where you've had 5 minutes, or since I first connected with you this morning, to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, Roger Black, awesome athletics legend, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that never fail to grab your attention. Well, squirrels, what never fails to grab your attention. And then a quirky or unusual fact about you we couldn't know until you tell us. So over to you to interpret that as you'd like.
Okay, well, you might have to help me and prompt me on this. So the 4 moments of my life that I would say have shaped me. One I've mentioned already, age 11, school medical. Oh, this doesn't sound right. And before I know it, I'm down in Southampton General Hospital with the senior cardiologist called Neville Conway, and I'm told that I have heart disease. I have a leaking heart valve, and that actually I need to be very careful. And this is a kid who was kicking a football every day of my life. I was out, it wasn't athletics, but I was out running and football, sport mad. Fastest kid in the school. Suddenly, you're not allowed to play in rugby. You're not doing cross country. That was good. And that didn't last for too long, because then after a few months he said, okay, look, you can start doing that, but we need to keep an eye on you. And was it traumatic? Yeah, it was traumatic, but you move on. But I think that was a moment that I realised now as I look back must have shaped me. Because I had a choice. I could either go, and then when I became an athlete, I could always use it as an excuse, couldn't I? And I never talked, I didn't make it public, never talked about it, but it was always there. My father was always worried. My father was a GP and he had a heart condition. So I think that would be the first moment I would suggest.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
It's called aortic valve stenosis is your condition.
Is it? I don't know. It's called loads of different things. If you take the Mercedes badge, there are 3 valves. Well, one of them isn't there. So So what happens is the blood. In my case, the blood pumps out of the heart. It's a system. It's a one-way system. Blood comes in, blood goes out. Okay. So when you pump it out of the heart through the aortic valve with me, some of it comes back in. And that's not apparently very good. I haven't had any problems. But
and ironically, it could be a turbo booster which made you go faster, but who knows?
It has been suggested. It has been. And then the next key moment in my life, and this really is a key moment in my life, was I wanted to become a doctor. And I had to get 3 Bs to go to Bart's Hospital to read medicine. And I was doing my A-levels, and I did my maths A-level exam. And I panicked and I messed it up. And when I left the exam room, I knew I'd messed it up. And then when the results came through, I got an A in biology, which I thought, that's pretty good if you want to be a doctor. I got a B in chemistry, which is pretty good if you want to be a doctor. And the maths, which, let's be honest, not that important, I got a D. And I got rejected. I didn't get in. I got a rejection. And I was devastated. But what it meant is that I had a year off to retake my maths A-level. And it was in that year that I had run for Hampshire schools. And there was a guy called Fayaz Ahmed, who was best high jumper in Hampshire. He was my best friend, my only friend in athletics. He was, through that one competition a year or 2 competitions a year. And he just said, look, you are so special. You have no idea how good you are. And he's the one who told me to go and join Southampton Athletics Club and train with 2 athletes who had come back from the Los Angeles Olympics, the late Todd Bennett, who went on to be the world record holder indoors, and my great friend Chris Akabusi, who most of us know. And I joined their training group as this spotty teenager who had talent and potential, but I'd never joined a club. I didn't know how good I was. And I started chasing them and 20 other people up a hill on a Monday night. And then I came back on Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And that was it. Just suddenly training with these guys, and they've got the sponsored cars and everything. And I'm in my green flash trainers and my rugby kit. And I caught them. And I was an international within 2 months indoors. And I am an example of somebody who had loads of talent, but unless you put that talent in the right environment, you don't know how good you are. If you want to run fast, run with fast people. But the scary thing for me, and this has shaped my mind and my life, I absolutely know, and I'm not making this up, okay? Because you could speak to any of my friends at school after we've done our A-levels, before we got the results, and they would never have said I'd be an athlete, okay? We all went to grammar school. We're all going to go to university and whatever. If I had got a B on my maths paper that day, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. There's no chance. Because my life wouldn't have gone down that path. I would have gone to London. I wouldn't have met Chris Akabusi. I wouldn't have met Daley Thompson. I wouldn't have known how good I am. I wouldn't. And that has shaped me as a person, because now, no matter what happens now in my life, there's always a little part of me. And my life hasn't been, it's not been plain sailing and like everybody's, it's not a straight line, is it? There's a little voice in my head that always says, what's good about this? No matter what happens. And that shaped me, because it changed my life. It changed my direction. And the rest is history. I mean, literally his history.
And lovely testament to that adage, what's meant for you won't pass you by, but actually what's not meant for you will pass you by, is the opposite.
And I tell that story if I'm asked to speak at school prize givings and things like that. And, I can see the parents and the teachers going, oh, no, don't say that. You messed up your A-levels. Not really, but I always say, and with my kids, you have choose a goal, choose a dream. You may not achieve, but something will happen along the way. And as long as you just follow the path that presents in front of you, whatever that path you take, you never know. And a very good friend of mine who I've also interviewed, who's called Dave Stewart, a company called Fresh Air Leadership in Scotland. Yeah. One of his favourite mantras is, if shit happens, he calls it plot twist. Yeah. Yeah, and it's easy, and it's easy to say and hard to do, though, isn't it? When you've gone down, you want to do something. It's like, it's I don't know. I mean, it's amazing. So that absolutely. And then I think the next one is very closely connected with that, and it is. I've already said it. It was meeting Chris Akabusi, because no matter how good I was potentially, I know I wouldn't have achieved what I did as an athlete if I hadn't met Chris Akabusi, and he will say exactly the same. It's very rare in life that you meet somebody from such a different background and such a different personality who is so different to you. Yet when you are together, this incredible bond connects very quickly. I mean, he'll always joke about me, but he'll say I got 10 O levels, he got 9 no levels. He calls me Lord Black, and our background our background stories are miles apart. You know, he was born in Nigeria. His parents put him and his brother on a plane to England. He grew up in children's homes, messed around at school, joined the army. But you've got two people who on the outside are so different and unique, yet where it matters, deep, deep, deep connection. Even to this day, you know, our children are all connected, you know, we are. And meeting him changed my life, and he would hopefully say the same. And to find someone who can share that dream, that goal, make those decisions that are hard to make, you know, do we go and train in America with Daley Thompson? Do we stay here? To just aim to go to places physically and emotionally in athletics, that to go along there with somebody else is very different to trying to do it on your own. And for these two people to collide through sport and geography completely has shaped my life and his. And yeah, so that would be the third one.
I've seen him do his motivational talk back in the day, one of the first I ever saw. Yeah. So I know that I've seen the footage of you and him running together in that great event that he made as the centerpiece.
But what's interesting about, I mean, Chris is a huge personality, and what you see is what you get. There's no acting going on there. But maybe you can appreciate what I'm saying. Me and him, I know he's not a different person, but we have it's a private thing, you know, what we had together when you're on that journey together, serious journey of trying to win medals and compete and all that stuff. It's a very quiet, private journey, as well as the outward journey that the public see. And that deep, deep connection with somebody with a shared goal and a shared vision is so rare and so powerful. And we see it in all creative, you know, whether it's Lennon McCartney, whether it's, you know, it's that the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. And I had it with this guy who, you know, was just so different to me. Yes. And it's great. And so that would be a huge one for me.
Beautiful answer and interpretation of that. So a third influence, or another shapeage, if you like. I
mean, outside of sport, you know, you live in the world of the world of the athlete is very, what's the word? You know, it's a very self-absorbed world. It's a very narcissistic world. Yeah. It's narcissistic. It's very selfish. You're very focused. You're very programmed. And that's great for high performance, but you pay a price emotionally. And to be able to then, in retirement and later on, to meet my wife of the last 20 years, Jules, who's actually in your world, she's a theatre director. She's in the world of theatre. And to be with someone who isn't, you know, is there, you know, who is different to the world you had lived in, and then to be introduced to the world of theatre, youth theatre, and to, you know, my children are more affected by our life is in theatre, not in sport. You know, I'm not involved in sport anymore, and to be able to experience that and to be part of that and to see what good that is and what it does, and to see that as a sports person who maybe not as in touch with emotions as a theatre person would be, but to see the parallels between sport and theatre, the teamwork, the collaboration, the performance, you know, the preparation, and have that, my eyes opened up to that never saw it as an athlete. You know, it was all blah, 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 me, and you know, performance and macho and ego and all that sort of stuff. You know, to be lucky enough to spend the last 20 years with Jules and now have a kid, I think it has to be that as well. So. And
it's the beauty and the nature of ensemble, actually, in theatre, but then in sport, doing a 4x100 metre relay, absolutely an ensemble piece.
I mean, it's really interesting because a lot of musicians and theatre people, they really like meeting sports people. You know, I'm very lucky to do bits on telly and stuff, and you meet people, and it's great when you meet someone. So a very good friend of mine is quite a well-known musician from the 80s. Well, I don't say it is, but it's really interesting. Someone who had no interest in sport at all. Yet when we met, this bond. So it's not because he has an interest in sport. I actually have a big interest in music, but that shared experience And and I remember him once saying to me, I didn't realise, I thought sport was nothing to do with my world. I'm a musician, I'm not a sports person, but actually they're very similar worlds. As you say, ensemble, collaboration. There's a degree of creativity in sport. You have to think and be creative. You can't just, if you're a robot, you might do all right, but you have to have a growth mindset and all that sort of stuff. And I think experiencing that with Jules and experiencing that with, so I'm far more likely to go to a musical concert or a theatre than I am to go watch sport.
And I love the fact that in the two worlds you're describing, there's obviously a mutual respect for each other's combined disciplines. Massive respect. Yeah. So for example, I might watch someone on a. I always say to my wife, I just don't get it. I just don't, and I would have nightmares about it. I don't understand how, even the kids that she's with, how can they remember the lines? And she'll say it's the last thing on their minds. It's just part of being theatre. Honestly, don't ask me that question again. It's a silly question. Yet she'll watch someone running in an Olympic final and think, how the hell can they do that? And I'll go, yeah, but that's what they do. That's what they prepare for. So, it's all about preparation, isn't it? Interesting. I've got an actor friend who's literally, as I speak, about to complete rowing across the Atlantic.
Wow. Okay.
So there's that extraordinary, the two worlds colliding. Fantastic. They're called Atlantic Body and Soul, by the way, and it's an actor called Cal McAninch who's just stopped. Okay. So we could now be, and thank you, by the way, you're giving me beautiful answers. We've got Alchemy and Gold coming up, but you're giving me that by the bucket load anyway. Okay. So now can we talk about 3 things that inspire you? And if there's any overlap.
Yeah, so music and certain songs, lots of songs, but there's one song, music has the ability to take you back to a moment. And there's actually, it's the one which is a very strange one, really, for me. But every time I hear Chasing Cars, I think it is, by Snow Patrol, it takes me instantly back to a moment with a group of male friends a few years ago, actually, on holiday. But one guy in particular, I could see where we were, what we were doing, and because we shared. I said, I gave him half of the earphone. We were lying down, and we shared that moment of connection. So music inspires me, absolutely. My kids, if I said my kids inspire me, they just tell me to just shut up. But, shut up. but they would. But I have twin boys who are 17, a daughter who's 23, and I have moments where you look at photos of when they were kids, babies, and then you look at them now.
Yes. And
I just sometimes have a moment of going, really? I don't know where they're going to do, what they're going to do. It's not that. It's not, I'm so proud of my children. It's just the physical, just wow, Yeah. Wow, let's not take that for granted. Weren't we lucky? And look at that, I don't know what I'm saying there, but
but that's so relatable, by the way. Mine are 23 and 16. I'm completely in that zone of just being gobsmacked by them on the daily.
Yeah. And the third one, I can't think of a third one. I mean, I think, I can because we're talking. I think I don't do this enough. My wife Jules does this all the time, and I have to get in that moment more. And I know I need to improve myself, but just sometimes we run in the same place most days. And when you run the same run every day, and it's in the woods up high, when you run the same place every day, you see the seasons change.
Yes.
And you see, and there are just moments where we just stop, and she'll be the one stopping, but you stop and you go, wow, it's just, look at that, a frosty morning or whatever. And I think the day we cease to be inspired by nature is a sad day. So I'd say that.
And again, very relatable. There was a time I completely gobsmacked somebody who was hyper stressed within a corporate arena, and I just happened to ask the question, when did you last hear the birds sing? And he immediately burst into tears because he couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is the idea of being present to nature is so profoundly important for mental health as well.
Yeah. And I'm not as good as that as I should be. But I'm aware of it, but I'm not as good as I should be, because the athlete you can't ever stop being an athlete in your when you've done it for so long and programmed so well. Programmed always to go forward, programmed to be busy, programmed to be doing. But also, the art of it was to actually be able to strip it away and be in the moment. So,
Yes.
my greatest ever race, I remember just going down to the line for the Olympic final, breathing and almost handing over. That's a hell of a thing. Okay. But for a lot of it, I was always panicking. It was all that and not being in the moment enough. And I think just acknowledging the moment, and it's easy for me to sit here and say that because I haven't mastered it. But I'm married to someone who has. And I think it's such an important thing. Yeah.
Gosh, that's the zone, isn't it?
The zone, it is. It's the zone,
And in acting, by the way, it's called, your wife will appreciate this, it's tonicity, that state of readiness, which is between utter tension and utter flaccidity.
Yeah.
Tonicity.
Yeah, and I do have that when I'm presenting, when I'm doing a motivational speech or whatever. It's the out of body thing. It's the split.
Yeah.
The wow. You're in the zone, and you're doing what you should be doing. Yeah.
And I again relate. I do comedy improvisation for a thing called Instant Wit that I run, and that's when I feel most in my zone too.
Yeah.
Very relatable. Beautiful stuff. Okay, now two things that never fail to grab your attention. This is borrowed from the film Up. The squirrels. What never fails to stop you in your tracks?
The smell of petrol in a petrol station.
Nom nom.
I love it. I absolutely never fails. Never fails. What is that all about?
You old petrol head. I love that. That's a great answer.
I'm not a petrol head. I'm not into cars, but it's just the smell of petrol. Just sometimes that's nice. I don't know why that is.
Are we talking diesel as well? Just anything petroleum and...
I guess so. Yeah. It's just
a great answer.
I don't know why that is. There are lots of smells of lots of things. I'm sure people give a smell as an answer many times, coffee or whatever. But I was thinking, which is the one that it's a secret? Yeah, so God, I really like that smell.
Do you know what? Bizarrely, my daughter says the same thing. So we've got a kindred spirit in my daughter.
Yeah. So that grabs my attention.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. The station that makes you feel good.
And the other thing that grabs my attention, which my family just like, is if I'm watching, and I think there's some deep psychological flaws in this, but if I'm watching, because I'm not particularly outwardly emotional, but if I'm watching like X Factor, if I'm watching something where somebody has achieved something, if I'm watching a sporting event, I can sometimes be in tears, and doesn't have to be my team. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter what it is, and I think it probably is taking me back to the struggles to get to what I achieved and all that sort of stuff. But I just get outwardly emotional, and it's a strange thing because I think it's quite common in men that they'll cry watching something on telly, but they won't do it. I don't know what there is in that, but that never ceases to catch me. I go, bloody hell, Dad's crying again. And, my kids will go, oh God, Mum and Dad are crying. Oh, blimey. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But there's obviously something in that. But there's that.
It's a beautiful answer. Love it. And again, very relatable. There'll be lots of people going, and me. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. It's the admiration of the triumphant moment. However,
I don't fight it anymore. Just let it happen. I don't fight it.
I'm happy that you do. Being in touch with your emotions is a good thing.
I can watch it, a film or anything. It's just like, why? Yeah. Anyway.
Lovely. And now a quirky or unusual fact about you, Roger Black, MBE. We couldn't know about you until you tell us.
Well, I was thinking about this, and it's not going to be about me because I can't think of there's anything about me that you can't find somewhere. I think, but actually, this is a good one. Okay, it's about my family and it's about my brother. So in a strange situation, obviously, being an athlete, becoming well known and whatever. I often get people coming up to me, not often, but quite often, from the classical music world saying, I know your brother. So my brother Nigel was the principal horn of the Philharmonia, He's one of the preeminent French horn players. He's in his mid-60s now, and has completely excelled in as a classical musician. You wouldn't know it if you met him, by the way. He was professor of brass. He's just retired, I think, at the Royal College or Royal Academy of Music. And in his world of brass, he is really esteemed. And it's very interesting that we've lived parallel lives in both having a unique gift, and I would say it is a gift, to do something out of the ordinary, yet we've come from the same family. So my family was a musical family, not a sporting family. So we're all musical. I have a twin sister and two brothers, and we're all musical. We can all play musical instruments. We grew up. I spent my life growing up, every day of my life, hearing classical music. So my parents had classical music playing in the kitchen every day. I actually don't listen to classical music. I've actually not seen my brother play, and he's retired now from the Philharmonia. I think he now still does films. He's played on most films you've heard. But I think that's an interesting fact that I have a brother who has excelled in classical music, and most people don't know that. Nigel Black, is that a good one?
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
I don't think I've ever really mentioned. I mean, maybe once or twice. I don't think that's something I've ever mentioned. We never talk about it, by the way, together.
And when did you last see him?
I had lunch with him a few weeks ago, but I think he saw me run once, and I don't think I got round to watching him play.
You've retired from running now, so he
won't see me as well. Yeah, and he's just retiring, I think, from Philharmonia, or has done. Yeah, so.
And Nigel Black, did you say?
Yeah, French horn. There you go.
Lovely. Now we move away from the tree. We're still in the clearing, which is in your swimming pool of choice.
Well, yeah. So,
and now we're talking about.
We're moving, so not for long.
Now we're talking about alchemy and gold. Next, when you're at purpose and in flow, Roger Black, what are you absolutely happiest doing?
I'm playing my guitar.
Oh, that's another surprising answer. Just unpack that slightly.
Yeah. So I was a chorister as a kid, and I picked up a guitar when I was 12, and I'm not a great guitarist, but I could play guitar to play acoustic, and play, and I don't, played a lot when I was an athlete. I always had an audience. Daley Thompson was my biggest fan. Lived in America, so played with the guy we were living was playing, for a living out on the, in the clubs and pubs, and would go listen to him. And then I did a few myself and did a little bit, and then stopped. And I don't play as much as I used to, but when I sit on my own and I play guitar, I'm connected. It's the one thing I do that connects me with me. I don't play enough. I mean, it's the thing I should do more. But so there you go.
You don't know.
And sing. I can't. By the way, I can't play guitar. I have to be singing. I can't.
Okay. And you don't happen to know Mark Knopfler, do you?
No,
because he's on my wish list.
Yeah, no.
But that's a great answer and a really.
Although Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
Mark Knopfler did the music to my favourite film and my chosen subject for Celebrity Mastermind, which I won, which is the film The Princess Bride. He did the music for that.
You killed my father.
Prepare to die.
You son of a bitch.
I love you now. See, there are two types of people in the world: people who get and like Princess Bride, and people who go, what's that all about? Yeah, there you go. That's it. And the worst thing about Princess Bride, it's my favourite film, and I'm book, film, everything, and I'll reread the book, and it was a labour of love being allowed to do the Princess Bride on Mastermind. It genuinely was, and some people just think it's ridiculous. They don't get it because they just, it's a fairy tale. What are we talking about? It's a kid's film. No, it's not.
No, it's definitely not. And what a great answer. And congratulations for winning Mastermind. I hadn't got to that bit of research.
No, yeah, well.
I knew you were in Strictly Come Dancing, but I didn't know about
I did Mastermind twice. I've done it twice. And the first time I did James Taylor, the singer-songwriter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I came second in that. And then did The Princess Bride. So I think that probably, if you wanted to know me, I think, by the way,
Arthur, you sound like
I've done this many times. If I'm speaking at a dinner, you sit and have dinner with strangers, And sometimes the conversation is a bit tricky. And the best question you can ever ask people is, what would be your chosen subject in Mastermind? And the reason it's a great question is because you're asking somebody, what are you really interested in? What would you work on to be tested on? Yeah. And it's been brilliant because people then reveal who they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And mine would be about Stan Laurel, please. He's my.
Well, there you go.
Hero.
There you go.
Yeah.
And when would you ever come out in a conversation?
And by the way, thank you. That's a great question.
It really is. And it, if you would to ask my close friends and family, James Taylor, Princess Bride. Yeah, that's Roger.
That is
Roger.
Roger.
The Olympics.
He started, so he's finished. Oh, he's off again, and he's running.
Yeah.
Oh, we love that. On the open road of Roger Black. Love that. Again, great answers. And now I'm going to award you with a cake. Huzzah! Right. So with your underlying heart condition, do you like cake, please, Roger Black?
I like cake. I don't love cake. I'm not I'll eat it, but I'm not I love cake. So I would have a cake, and it would probably be a Victoria sponge. Or a ginger cake, actually.
Hey, now, choose, please. I'm not. It's a metaphorical cake, so it can be.
Okay. If I had to choose between those two, I'll go ginger cake with a cup of tea. It has to be a cup of tea. I couldn't have.
And do you like a cheeky bit of cheese with your ginger cake as well?
I haven't done that, but I do. I did grow up in a household with my mother where it was always apple pie with cheese, and I can see how ginger cake would work. So I will do that next time.
Christmas cake and ginger cake with cheese.
Yeah.
Nom. So this is no big surprise. Another storytelling metaphor where you get to put a cherry on your cake now, not a bit of cheese, but a cherry. And this is stuff like, what's a favourite inspirational quote that's always given you succor and pulled you towards your future, Roger Black?
There are so many. I mean, I as a speaker, I have so many quotes, but I think it's not really something that's maybe. Yeah. Okay. It would be. Can I tell you a little story?
Yes, that's why we're here.
So, my career was ups and downs and highs and lows, and it's all about, can you win an Olympic medal? You really would swap success anyway. I missed Seoul with a broken foot. I went to Barcelona, wasn't ready, injured. So Atlanta was my last chance. And 10 months before Atlanta, I just had a knee operation. Chris Akabusi had been retired a few years. It was my last chance. And I was in America, and I walked into an art gallery. I used to, on my days off, go into art galleries. And a piece of sculpture, which was a replica of the Olympic sculpture for the Atlanta Olympics of a gymnast. And I read the literature about it, and there was an Olympic motto in it, which I'd never really connected with. I may have heard it before, but I hadn't connected, which is, the essence lies not in the victory, but in the struggle. And at that moment in time for me, where I was struggling, I felt alone. What it was saying to me was, the whole purpose of you trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve is this journey, is this struggle. It isn't, defined by what you achieve. And you need to celebrate and recognize the struggle. And it had a profound effect on me, because it made me realize that, it wasn't supposed to be easy. It was supposed to be hard. And once you acknowledge that, it frees you up to embrace it. And it changed me. And I didn't put a foot wrong after that day. And it was a combination of things. But I love that. The essence lies not in the victory, but in the struggle. It's an Olympics motto. And the other one I'll throw in, because it's the advice I give to all parents and all athletes when they say, what advice should you give my kids? And I say, look, you can have the best spikes in the world. You can have all the technology. You can have all the talent in the world. But if you want to run fast, go and run with fast people. Go and find someone to run with. If you want to achieve something, if you want to do something, get in there, get closer to the action, get closer to the sun. Go and find a Chris Akabusi. Go and be around it, because it rubs off, and before you know it, you're doing it. And I think that applies to everything. So, that is a big one for me. Just get in it. Don't talk about it. Get in there. Meet people. Stuff happens. But if you're not in it, it won't happen. So if you want to run fast, just be around fast people. That's all right.
Yeah, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? That could have been it that you're passing on there.
Well, the best piece of advice was actually was related to athletics, which was leading up to the Olympics again. It was a big time in my life. It was from an ex-athlete who had failed, They tried to achieve what I was trying to achieve, but it failed. And I think, most people try and, if they want to achieve something, they go and find someone who's achieved it, right? But I think as a better person, find the person who tried to do it and failed, because they'll tell you what they got wrong. And it was somebody who analysed the 400 metres and complicated it. And he said to me, in the end, all you can do is focus on running your perfect race. Don't worry about your competitors. Don't worry about the weather. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Just focus on your perfect race. It's the greatest challenge of all in the Olympic final, because you can imagine millions of people are watching, billions of people watching, 100,000 people in the stadium, the significance of it. And it's that ability to just let it go and focus on your race, not Michael Johnson, not this, not that. And that was huge for me. As simple as it sounds, it was basically just saying, stop reacting and worrying, get on with it, focus on what you can control. And it changed the way I ran.
Simple, seismic, and profound. Would it be rude to ask you who gave you that advice?
It was an athlete from the past a guy called David Jenkins, who had messed up, for lots of reasons. And I think it was powerful. I listened to him, because he messed up and he'd done it. And other people were probably saying it in different guises, but I wasn't listening. What do they know? So.
What help or advice might you proffer to a younger version of yourself?
I would probably say to the younger version of myself, I've often been described by people who know me as a swan. You look graceful on the surface, but you deep down, and I'm still doing it. It's in my nature. It would be, just be in the moment more and relax a little bit more. I've never quite mastered that. I'm happy to admit that. But yeah, I think that would be it. But then again, it gives you, it keeps you on the edge, I suppose. But probably that, and maybe the advice would be, I suppose the obvious one, because of my story, would be, set yourself on a path. But you know what? Sometimes you have to go down another path, and that path will take you down a path you never knew existed. But recognize the opportunity when it's in front of you, and don't be scared to take it.
We're ramping up to a final component, which is Shakespeare and legacy. But just before we get there, I'm going to deliberately park that to last. Where can we find out more about the sort of Roger Black world on the internet?
Yeah. Well, it's not one thing. I mean, I have a portfolio of businesses, as they say, because I have to. I'm self-employed. I've never worked to. So everything I do is around performance and the space between talent and performance. And as you can probably tell, I'm quite interested in that. Talent's not enough in sport. It's not enough in anything. Okay. So I'm fascinated by that. So you can go to rogerblack.co.uk, and that's me, and I speak at conferences or whatever. I run a business called Backley Black with Steve Backley, the incredible javelin thrower. And we have a shared passion for this mindset. So we work with clients and that. We do whole days with clients, which is great. So that's my sort of, I'm affected a lot by COVID, but that's my sort of my day job. But I have my own, I've had a fitness brand for years, Roger Black Fitness. It was under license for years with Argos. Now I run it with a very small team. With the brand and with home fitness equipment, and it's not about the equipment. It's about people, making the decision to do some exercise, and that's rogerblackfitness.com. rogerblack.co.uk, Backley Black, and Roger Black Fitness. That's me.
Now, a very exciting moment. This is so exciting, passing a golden relay baton to Roger Black. So, who do you think in your network would most benefit from being given a damn good listening to by being in this construct?
Well, I think you can work out what this answer is going to be. I mean, if you were lucky enough to ever speak to him, he would be, it is an extraordinary life. And of course, that is my great friend, Chris Akabusi. He was also an extraordinary relay runner. He wouldn't drop the baton, unlike some. He would take the baton and he would hopefully, come from behind and cross the line with a gold medal performance. So it'd be Chris Akabusi.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to furnish me with a warm introduction. So he says,
well, I'll try. I can't predict him. Yeah.
Lovely. So this is yours, metaphorically. In time,
I'll take it from you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. And just before the Shakespeare, as this has been your moment in the sunshine of the Good Listening To show, is there anything else, Roger Black, you'd like to say?
No, I think we've covered a lot. It's been a pleasure.
And now, finally, then, inspired by Shakespeare and all the world's a stage and all the Billy players, when all is said and done, Roger Black, Olympic legend and European and World Championships, how would you most like to be remembered?
Oh dear, this is a hard one. So I would like to be remembered for two things. I would like to be remembered that he gave it a go. And I don't mean just in athletics, I mean everything, and not everything I've done has been as successful in athletics. But I'm not scared to give things a go. And I think there's something in that. I think you regret the things you didn't do more than the things you did do in life. So there's that. But my wife always tells the story of her father died just before we got married. And I didn't know him for long because we got married quite quickly after meeting each other. And she always says that she literally very soon before he died, he did turn and say, he's a good chap. And she always says that. That'd be a nice thing to have. He's a good chap. But I think, a combination of that and that was actually Steve Backley calling me. I think a combination of he gave it a go, and he was a good chap. That'd be nice. That'll do. I'll take that. I don't know if my kids would say that, but
yeah, shut up, they'd say.
Yeah, shut up, Dad.
Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, my son says on the daily, Dad, your podcast's crap.
Of course. Oh, my kids, honestly. My kids are right. Oh, you're so irrelevant. You're such a knob. So I think they love me, really.
You've been listening to the Good Listening To show here on UK Health Radio with me, Chris Grimes. Oh, it's my son.
If you've enjoyed the show, then please do tune in next week to listen to more stories from the clearing.
If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, then please do so. There's also a dedicated Facebook group for the show too. You can contact me about the programme, or if you'd be interested in experiencing some personal impact coaching with me, care of my Level Up Your Impact programme, that's chris@secondcurve.uk. On Twitter and Instagram, it's
@ThatChrisGrimes.
So until next time, from me, Chris Grimes, from UK Health Radio, and from Stan,
to your good health.
And goodbye.